So this video here is going to cover how I was able to send 10,000 cold emails every single day and close 80 clients from it. And I'm not just going to go into the basics here. I'm actually going to show some of the stuff that's truly going to move the needle and how you can actually execute on this. So the first thing is building an infrastructure that can actually handle this kind of volume. Now, you don't want to be buying email accounts directly from Google or Microsoft to do this because it's going to be extremely expensive. So you need to find a very good email infrastructure provider that can provide you solid inboxes at a reasonable price. Okay, so it shouldn't cost you more than a few $1,000s to actually have this infrastructure running to send 10,000 emails per day. And you don't want to go into the super cheap options with private infrastructure because that's not going to work. You need the best option you can get is a Google account reseller. That is what has been working for a very long time. It's way more consistent than Microsoft. It's a lot cheaper than buying it directly from the source, and it's a lot better than private infrastructure. So you want to stick to that, at least in my opinion. And that's going to be plenty of volume there to scale that with consistent email deliverability. We have one particular Google reseller that we use at ScaleSprint for all our clients. And we also have built a system where essentially we're able to detect email deliverability problems on the domain level, which is typically where they happen. They don't happen on the individual email account level, they happen on the domain level. So we can monitor reply rates and public blacklists to see if any domain has a reduction in its sending reputation, and then it can be switched out with a different domain. And when you're sending this kind of volume, what you don't want to have happen is that a lot of the different domains are sort of slowly losing their momentum and they're not actually having as good as a sending reputation as they had in the beginning. You want to be able to monitor that and then be able to switch them out when that happens. And yeah, because the moment that happens, again, you'll just catch it when it's too late, and it's not going to be good for the entire system. So this is what you need to do on the infrastructure side of things. I've mapped out what that looks like here with the multi-domain infrastructure. And we use instantly.ai for the sending. They do also have a done for you option, which is okay, but it's just a little bit expensive to do. But that's one option you do have is through instantly to set up the accounts there. So the second step is keeping your copy from getting flagged, because if you're sending 10,000 emails per day, basically there's a good chance that your copy is going to get flagged by the ESPs, which is the email service providers like Google or Microsoft. And so these are the two main things you need to focus on: is deliverability on the domain level and deliverability on the copy level, because you could have great domains, but if your copy gets flagged, it doesn't matter. You're still going to land in spam. So you need to not only just test multiple copies at the same time, you need to also restructure the format of the emails that you're sending completely about every 2 weeks. So you want to build new copies that may convey the same information, but they look different. They have a different structure. They have a different signature. Things are mixed up, because that's going to prevent this, what we call copy fatigue, where you're just sending the same email over and over and over again. Even if you're applying spin tags to the emails, eventually it's going to be so similar that the email servers are going to see it. So you want to switch up the formatting every 2 weeks. You can do that very simply by creating essentially an AI prompt where you just tell the AI like, hey, I want to restructure this copy. You can just like send it what I just said, and it's going to be able to restructure that copy. And now you can send it again, and you're most likely not going to land in the spam folder. Another thing you can also do here is to basically run a bunch of inbox placement tests through a tool like Instantly, for example. They have a native inbox placement test feature, and you can try to play around with the words. So you can try remove certain words that you suspect might be spam words. If you're using a lot of words like buy now or invest or guarantee, or some of these words that are typically associated with sales emails. If you have a lot of those words, try taking them out of the copy, do inbox placement tests, do the same again, repeat the process until you can sort of figure out what words are triggering the spam filters. So that's what you need to do on the copy level at this sort of scale. The next thing is finding message market fit. And this is essentially the way we define that is the script that will, on average, resonate the most with the target audience, because different people are going to have different preferences. There's no such thing as the perfect message in marketing, but there is a message that will, on average, resonate with the largest amount of people within your total addressable market. And the way to find that is, of course, by testing. The good thing about sending 10,000 emails per day is you're going to have a lot of data. It's going to be very statistically significant once you do your test. So you're quickly going to know what sort of messaging actually works. Of course, it's important to mention that before you actually have your message market fit, you also need product market fits, because marketing cannot carry a bad product or something that there's not demand for. And also another thing I would mention here is don't overlook the basics, because sometimes people misdiagnose their email campaigns by saying it has a messaging error, but it could also be the fact that you don't have a good website, socials, overall online presence, and this is going to make it more difficult for prospects to actually see who you are. And because it's more difficult to see who you are, it's also going to be more difficult to generate that necessary trust, essentially. So how do you actually go about finding message market fit? So the first thing you really want to test is your offer. This is the most important variable to isolate. So you want to try a bunch of different offers. We've built our framework at Scale Sprints, where we can basically generate a bunch of ideas for front-end offers and lead magnets that have historically worked for us. And then, the AI comes up with like 10 ideas for that. We test each of them, see which one performs the best, and we just scale that from there. Another important thing is testing pain points. It's very important that you mention the right pain points and you use the correct language for your audience. If you don't do that, you're not going to seem like somebody who knows their industry well enough, and that's going to be an issue, and it's going to make your campaigns fail, essentially. So this is also a really, really important aspect of message market fit. But again, the most important thing is definitely the offer itself. Now, the next thing here is how to gather the right market intelligence. And this sort of ties into message market fit again. So if you have recorded sales calls from the past, you need to use them because they're great sources of direct market feedback. So any objections that are really common on sales calls, if you can take those and pre-handle them inside the copy, I'm going to guarantee you that your campaigns are going to do so much better. And if you're not recording your sales calls, then you need to start doing that ASAP so you can actually collect meaningful market feedback. So another option you can do this if you want to sort of force that and just quickly get market feedback is actually by offering gift cards to people in exchange for a 30-minute call where they give you honest feedback on your offer. And in some cases, you're even going to be able to sell people on that call. So trust me, it's absolutely worth it. $100 to $200 gift card to speak with these people. And you have to think about it in this way. If you can pay 5 people to do that, maybe you're going to pay $1,000 for that, but you're going to actually have so much direct market feedback that you can now tie into your overall messaging for your company. And you're going to be able to sell so much easier to cold traffic because you've done that. So this is something I highly recommend. And that's especially if you don't have any recorded sales calls and you don't have a large track record of sales. So yeah, and again, like this intelligence will make everything so much easier. Copy, offer, targeting, it's all going to be much sharper. So yeah, that's going to cover it for some of the things that you should focus on when you send 10,000 cold emails per day. Now, of course, there's a lot more stuff to go into here, but I wanted to cover some of the things that you don't usually hear, some of the more technical stuff, some of the deeper stuff when it comes to optimizing the system itself and the messaging as well, and how you sort of approach those aspects of your email system. So if you are interested in getting a system like this, having us build it for you and run it for you, then you can check out the link in the description and the pinned comments. I'll be happy to chat with you. So thanks for watching and have a good day.